Welcome, everybody. We're happy to have you on our first live of 2026. So, welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome everybody. And how you doing, Braden?
I'm doing great. How are you, Curtis? I
I'm loving
love
it.
the makeup, bro. I
Well,
love the face paint, bro.
I had to do it. It was a big week for the IAL, so I had to do it. I was going to ask you a question, Braden. How much do I love the IAL?
You love it. You love it a lot. How long
I
did it
love
take
it.
you to do that face paint?
I don't know that long, but my wife I were just laughing before I came on the show. I said, "Well, how much do you love the IAL?" Well, it's snowing here, a little bit of mud puddles out there. I would run stark naked to a mud puddle wearing makeup. That's how much I love the IAL.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is a diehard. He is a diehard IAL fan.
Yes, I am.
So,
And
guys,
hey,
we have a great show for you today. We're going to go over some IAL news. We're going to talk about the NFL playoffs. And then after we get off, we got our commissioner, Dan Lust, that's going to take over. And him and Elijah are going to have a great show for you after. So stay tuned. Michael Klein says, hello, guys, and greetings from Warriors Nation. Hello, Michael
hey,
Klein. We're
Michael.
always glad to have you here, man.
How you doing, Michael? How you like the makeup? Let me know, man.
Yeah, it's always good to see Michael Klein in the chat and on there. I recently joined the Dusseldorf Warriors fan page, and he runs it. And so
he's
so it was really cool.
He's the administrator to the Dusseldorf Warriors over there, Warrior Nation.
Yeah, dude, I need to learn German. I think that'd be super cool. You know, I can go over there to a game, speak some German. That'd be super cool.
I know a lot, though. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it.
You're not going to try.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that.
I think that's the hardest part about learning a new language is you have to get the pronunciation down, you know, because I'm trying to learn Spanish right now. And it's like the pronunciation is the biggest part, you know.
Venti Bacarahu, is that Spanish? Fabaquiebo?
Yeah.
Is that bad words?
No, I don't think so. I don't know Spanish that well. I don't know Spanish that well. So I know like conversational Spanish, like basics, you know.
Oh, well, yeah.
I'm still a beginner.
Somebody taught me that in 7th grade. Venti Bacarahu and Fabaquiebo. I never did know what it meant. I mean,
it might be Spanish. It also sounds kind of like Arabic, so who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, let's just start with the NFL highlights, and we'll just start with that and continue from there. So let's play that video of the NFL highlights of the playoffs.
The tush push. There he is, shoving, and Allen's got it. Not to be denied. He's still going. Look at this.
Wow, that was a 1.5 push all the way through.
They say touchdown right behind him, and the Bills are back in front.
Williams throwing, and it's caught for the touchdown by DJ Moore.
You see that comeback, Curtis?
Yeah, it was something else. I watched both those games.
Moving guys around, fires to the end zone, and it is broken up. The Bears win it.
Extra offensive lineman in there. Fisher. Here's a little pitch back to Stroud.
I wanted Pittsburgh Steelers to beat this so bad.
Covered by Pittsburgh.
I hate the Steelers. I wanted them to lose.
I was just hoping for Aaron Rodgers, 40-something years old. I wanted him to get one.
Here's an interception for good measure.
This was a sick pick.
And Rodgers is in his way, trying to make the tackle. Can't. And it's a touchdown, Texans.
Wow.
See the Stevenson 128-yard.
The Texans are much better than I thought they were. I didn't think they were that good for a team like that.
Picked up on Henley, twists him. Hands up. Henry's got it to the end zone. Touchdown, New England. Against his own team.
Same with the Patriots, too. They're a lot better than I thought, too.
Johnston in motion.
Yeah, there were some great wild card games this past weekend. I wanted the Panthers to win. They didn't win.
Makes his mark again. Young. It's dropped, and it's over. Jimmy Horn drops it, and the Rams survive.
Purdy with time. Floats one deep. It is intercepted. It's Quavion Mitchell, number 2. 3rd and goal. Purdy, pressure, steps up.
I don't care for San Francisco. I didn't want San Francisco to win. I don't care for the Eagles though either.
I mean, I don't mind San Francisco. I'm a Raiders fan, and I should hate them, but truth be told, I really don't mind them. They're not a team I dislike by any means. But I will say my favorite part of Wild Card Weekend was watching Puka Nacua get 2 touchdowns in just the first half. That was insane. I'm a BYU fan, and he went to BYU, and so I always love seeing players from my college succeed. And so it was super awesome. He almost had 3 too, but he only had 2, but I was super pumped to see that.
Yeah, Nakua, man, he's something else. I'll tell you right now, he had some key plays in that game. I mean, he is he's solid. You hit him, he'll put a lick on you, you know what I mean, if he catches the ball.
Oh, yeah, and Puka Nacua was a 5th-round draft pick, taken way back in the draft, wasn't expected to be anything special, and now he's legitimately a top 5 receiver in the league. He is one of only 5 receivers all time to have 125 plus receptions and 10 plus receiving touchdowns in the same season. And so it's, he's among elite company,
Christian McCaffrey is another key player, in key moments of the game, he'll come through, he's solid. If you hit him, you better tackle him or have 2 guys or another guy help you, because you're not going to tackle him by yourself, or get him by the legs or something, because you can't just go straight on with him and take him on, because he's solid.
And he's probably one of the best receiving backs that I've seen in a while. He can run it, but he can also come from the backfield and receive it too. And so he's probably one of the best, I guess dual threat running backs is what you call him. He can catch, he can also run. So I think, Christian McCaffrey, he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame one day.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good players. I mean, the Chicago Bears, I'm surprised at. I can't believe they're playing as well as they are either. They're doing really good, man. I can't believe that.
Well, this just kind of proves what I've always said. Coaching 100% makes a difference when it comes to the success of the team, because they have pretty much the same roster, but they got a new coach, Ben Johnson. He was previously an assistant coach with the Detroit Lions last year, came in this year, took them from, a team that was pretty much a disaster to a team that now is in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So that just shows you what coaching does. And speaking of coaching, we have some really, really exciting news to announce. Sean King was named the head coach of the Cincinnati Slingers. So all of you Cincinnati fans in chat, get hyped, because this dude has decades of experience. He has over 25 plus years of experience between being a player and being a coach. He's been around the game of arena football for over 2 decades now. And so he knows what it takes to win, and he knows what it takes to lead a successful franchise. So a little bit of... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I watched him when he was with the Billings Outlaws quite a bit there, so I was watching him when he was with them. I didn't really watch him when he was with the Salina Liberty too much, but with the Outlaws I did.
Yeah, so he's had an incredible coaching career. As Curtis mentioned, he coached the Billings Outlaws, Salina Liberty, and as a player, he played for the Quad City Steamwheelers. And so, like I said, when it comes to experience, this guy has it, and more too. So Cincinnati fans should be excited. Brian Tracy says Sean King will do a great job in Cincinnati. And Brian, I totally agree. Because what it comes down to, like I said, is coaching. You look at the Bears and you look at what a disaster they were last year. No disrespect to Matt Eberflus, the previous coach, but he just wasn't getting the job done. They ended up firing him. They brought in Ben Johnson. He's completely turned this team around. I mean, I always knew the Bears had talent. They have Caleb Williams, a number 1 draft selection out of USC. They got him at quarterback. They have DeAndre Swift. They have DJ Moore. And so they have talent in droves, but it's about putting it together and coaching it to get the best outcome.
Right. It was just like with the New York Giants this year. They got a pretty good team. They have good guys on defense and offense, good quarterback, Jackson Dart. But the coaching, some of the decisions that the coaches had made during the season, totally, I think they lost 5, 6, 7, 8 games because of just the coaches' decisions, on the field. That wasn't the players' fault at that time. It was the decision that the coach made not to go for it on a 4th and 1 a couple of times, So just a decision that a coach will make will cost your whole season, especially if you lose 4 or 5 games in between when you're doing pretty well there. But Jackson Dart, we know he's a really good quarterback. Some of those other guys on defense, are some good players. I think they just need some good coaching. There are some vacancies in the NFL coaching world here, there. Harbaugh there, he was fired, wasn't he, from the Ravens?
Yeah, and Tomlin was fired today. Mike Tomlin, coach of the Steelers.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's fired today. I still think Mike Tomlin is a good coach. To be honest, I don't like the Steelers, but I have to respect the fact that he's never had a losing record as head coach of the Steelers. So I have to respect that. It is what it is. But when it comes to the Giants too, you were talking about it, Curtis. They have lots of talent too. Jackson Dart from Utah, born in Salt Lake City. Went to Ole Miss and was drafted with, I believe, the number 2 or 3 pick. And so he's very talented. I get a lot of crap for saying that, to be honest with you. A lot of people disagree with me. I think he has the potential to be sort of like a Drew Brees type guy,
Yeah,
Drew Brees, but more mobile, And so I think he has that type of potential. Michael Klein says, who do you think will play in the Super Bowl? Personally, I think that, it's a weird year because I really think it's super open this year. You don't have the Chiefs in there. The Eagles have been eliminated first round. So it's super open. It's not like in previous years where, you've seen the same few teams go to the Super Bowl time and time again. And so I think, honestly, as much as people are going to hate to hear this, I think the Patriots are going to be in the Super Bowl. Once again, the dynasty with Tom Brady ended a few years ago, and now they're already back to having maybe another dynasty with Drake May. I guess we'll see. But I think it'll be the Patriots, and of the NFC, I think that it'll probably be either the 49ers.
I was going to say 49ers. Yeah, 49ers.
Or the
Patriots,
Rams. I think the Rams are sneaky good. The Rams, even though they played a close game against a losing team in the first round, they're sneaky good. They have Puka Nacua. They have Matthew Stafford, who even at the age of 37 is having an MVP type career. I mean, right now the MVP is either between Drake May or Matthew Stafford. And at the age of 37, Matthew Stafford is just as good as he's always been. And so I think it'll be Rams and Patriots. That's my prediction. Nick Durst says the Texans defense could end it, though. I totally agree. Their defense is legit. Their defensive line, especially. You have Will Anderson, you have Calvin Rankin, and you have Danielle Hunter. 3 of the best defensive linemen that you could possibly have, and they're all on one team. And then in the secondary, you could have guys like Derek Stingley, probably what I consider to be the top defensive back. Maybe some would disagree with that. I consider him to be one of the top defensive backs. Their defense is legit.
They are. I couldn't believe how good they are. They're tough too, man. They are tough, and they have them 2 linebackers there. They were talking on before the show, the pregame show. I can't even remember their names, but they're 2 of the best linemen in the NFL. And man, they're good. But I don't follow them. I don't follow the Texans. But now, since I saw them play the other night, I could not believe that defense. They are tough, durable, and they're on it, man. They're on the quarterback. They rush. I'm telling you, they are on it.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of Will Anderson Jr. too. The edge rusher for the Texans. not just as a player, but also personally. He has a great character. Anytime you see him in interviews, he's always super humble. When he was talking about the Steelers, he made sure to emphasize how good of a team they were, how well coached they were, what a good quarterback Aaron Rodgers is. And then when he was talking about their next matchup, the Patriots, he also talked about how good of a team they were. So I really think that Will Anderson is probably one of the best all-around guys on the field, off the field, class act, just all the way around.
Yeah, J.J. Watt, I thought he would have played. He played pretty good, but I thought he was going to play a little bit better in that game. But I tell you, man, once it got into the third or fourth quarter, I thought for sure that the Steelers might, kind of give it a little bit harder game towards the third and fourth quarter. But man, once they kicked the door and that was it, Texans had them. You know what I mean?
It's how it goes in football. Once you get momentum, sometimes it's hard to stop.
Man, they slammed the door shut on them real quick once it got in the third, fourth quarter there. And Rodgers is good. Don't get me wrong, but he's 41, 42 years old. And if he had been in his 30s, it might be a different story. But it was cold. He's getting old. And, it's time for him to – he's a history-making quarterback. He'll be in the Hall of Fame. So,
yeah, I had to laugh because on one of those fumbles, I believe it was Rankin came around and just swatted the ball out of his hand.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers fell to the ground and he didn't even try and get the ball. He just laid there. It was like an old man that fell down or something. I was laughing because he didn't even try and get the ball.
He just curled up.
Tell.
Was it like
you could just tell when age catches up to a guy?
Yeah, curl up. You gotta save yourself for tomorrow. You know what I mean? But they had the one play there where he tripped over his own man and he fell down. I didn't know what he was gonna. It looked so bad. It looked like a crippled old man. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers.
Brian Tracy says Steelers had momentum early but didn't convert. Texans hung in and put the hammer down. Yeah, so that early in the game, I mean, it was in the third quarter and it was 7-6 for the Texans. The Texans were in the red zone. They threw an interception in the red zone. And the Steelers at that point could have taken the momentum back and it could have been a different ball game. But they just, like Brian Tracy said, they just couldn't put the hammer down. And it just, for a while, it was just both teams punting back and forth. And then all of a sudden, just like that, the Texans grabbed the momentum and they just took off with it. And it was just, after that, it was just all Texans.
Yeah, sometimes too, it's a young team's, it's their destiny. It's their time, and the Texans played the Steelers like it was their time. You're not going to beat us and defeat us today because we're young, we're tough, and it's their time. It's their time to get in there. They're in the playoffs. So I don't know. I wouldn't put, they're going to be in the Super Bowl. I'm sure, right?
And the Texans have never appeared in the Super Bowl. Granted, they are the youngest NFL franchise. I've been watching football my whole life. In 2002, when the Texans joined as an expansion franchise, I remember watching them from that point, and I still, in my mind, even though it's been 23 years now, 24 years now, I still consider them like the new team, quote unquote, the new team.
Yeah.
And so, I still, think of them that way. But they're 2 decades into their franchise. It's about time for them to get into a Super Bowl. So even though I don't think that's going to happen, I do think that it would be cool to see for sure.
Yeah, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they got a tough team too. And there was a couple plays there, bad plays they had, but I'm telling you, they're a pretty good team. They're a really good team. They're a tough team.
Yeah, and the Jaguars, they put up a good fight. The Bills are a tough team. They're not like a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. And so the Jaguars, of course, now they're eliminated, but I do think that they had a great regular season. They're another team that, like the Bears, complete turnaround. I mean, last year they were a mess. And then this year, all of a sudden, they're 13-4. They have the number 3 seed. And they're, they took the Bills right down to the wire. And the Bills have been a consistent playoff presence for about the last 5 to 6 years. And Josh Allen is going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Now, of course, all of that really is going to depend on whether or not he can eventually get a ring, because, you know, the way people judge a quarterback's greatness is of course championships. But I do think, putting all that aside, he's still one of the best in the game today.
Oh yeah. Well, one of my favorite quarterbacks growing up, I used to watch Pittsburgh a lot, but I used to watch the Jets a lot. So I would watch Joe Namath back then. Joe Namath and Phil Simms, and they were really good quarterbacks back then, I tell you. But today you got Josh Allen. I don't know. You know, like I said, we were talking about the LA Rams being in the Super Bowl and San Francisco 49ers. I don't look out for the Bills, though. If they can get in there, they're good in third and fourth quarter. They find a way to win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Nick Durst says, I would love to see Dylan Favre in the IAL. Hey, Brett's nephew. Yeah. I feel like the Steelers should let Rodgers go and give their coach another year. Would be cool to see Brett Favre's nephew play in the IAL. I think so, too. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
And it would also give brand recognition to us, too. You know, having the nephew of one of the best quarterbacks of all time playing in our league, that would be super awesome.
That would be cool. Definitely.
Yeah. Brian Tracy says, this year's Texans remind me a lot of the 2000 Ravens. Great defense. Offense does just enough to get the job done. Only time will tell. As they say, defense wins championships. And you can see that throughout time that's true. The 85 Bears, the 2014 Seahawks, some of the 2000 Ravens, some of the best defenses we've seen all time in the sport of football. And the 2000 Ravens, they were a whole nother beast. They had Ray Lewis. They had Ed Reed. They had all these superstars, like generational Hall of Fame superstars on the same team.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Ray Lewis, he was a legend. He's a legend and a half, Hall of Famer. You know that.
Yeah, and he showed up to the Miami versus who they play in the semifinals. Miami, and I'm just drawing a blank right now. I can't. Miami
Hurricanes?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, he showed up to the semifinal game and he walked out at the coin flip, and he was an honorary captain. So that was super cool to see because he's a Miami alum. Of course, you know, as the story goes, was the first ever draft pick for the Ravens as a team, drafted 1996, had a Hall of Fame career, and one of the best, probably the best linebacker of all time. Maybe I would say Lawrence Taylor's the best.
Taylor, I was going to say there, right?
Yeah, but Ray Lewis is probably second for sure.
Oh yeah, he's right there with him. I saw Lawrence Taylor take a whole side of a offensive line down before. That guy, and Harry Carson was good too.
Yeah.
Harry Carson, Lawrence Taylor. But man, I mean, there's still some good players in there. Just it's weird. You know, I used to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it seems like they should be able to put together 2 or 3 good playoff seasons where it seems like ever since they've had, and he's a good coach too, Tomlin, you know, but there's something about winning Super Bowls, playoffs. He just can't get there to win them, you know, or something.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this phenomenon where a coach will be good enough to consistently lead a team to the playoffs, but just can't get to that next level. The comparison I think of is Quinn Snyder with the Utah Jazz. He had Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Joe Ingles all on the same team, and they would get to the playoffs every year, but just couldn't win. They just couldn't. No. Once they got to the playoffs, they would just lose first round, second round. They just couldn't win, and I think that was the issue with the Steelers too. They couldn't get to that next level, and that's You know, for what it's worth, he's a good coach, but they had to let him go, and it's probably the right decision, to be honest.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams like that, you know, like the Raiders, you know, they getting some good teams, players there, quarterbacks and stuff. Carr was another good quarterback. I don't know. I mean, they had a lot of good players come through there, even in the last 5 to 10 years, and just can't seem to break that door and get into playoffs and get into the Super Bowl. Just can't break that door in for some weird reason. I don't know. They've had some good Matt Crosby, you know.
Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty. They have a solid team. I don't get me started on the Raiders. I could talk for hours. I'm a Raiders fan, and it's just depressing, bro.
I know.
So we got to wrap up here because we have our commissioner, Mr. Dan Lust, the man himself, who's going to be on next with, of course, our friend Elijah Westall. And so we got to wrap this up, but I'll read just a few more chats, and then we'll make room for Dan Lust and Elijah Westall. Nick Durst says the Texans defense reminded me of seeing footage of the 1970 Vikings. Yeah, the Purple People Eaters. That was a legendary defense. They had some of the best highlights that I've ever seen. And that was back when football was a lot more rough.
Yeah, the purple.
Yeah.
People.
What they used to. I don't know if anybody knows this, but back in the 70s, they used to put the stuff that they make casts out of. They would put it under their arm tape, and so when they went and just smacked somebody, I mean, it hurt. It didn't feel good. I'll put it that way. It didn't feel good. It was a whole different type of game back then.
Oh yeah. Fran Tarkenton, remember him for the?
Oh, great quarterback. Yeah.
Fran Tarkenton, yeah, he was good.
Yeah, and then Lil Z Sports, he had a question. He said, "Will fans be allowed to keep footballs?" That's a great question. Listen, so the guy who's in charge of this, Mr. Tom Mitchell, and the commissioner Dan Lust, they're big on fan experience. That's one thing that they focus on big time. I lean towards probably yes, but I don't want you to take that as 100% confirmation. But I would lean towards yes because they want fans to have an incredible experience. So I would lean towards yes on that.
Probably. I hope so.
All right, guys. That's about all the time we have.
All right, later.
Today. Yeah, later, and so I just want to say thank you, everyone who was chatting and everyone who watched this live. We love all of you, and thank you so much. And thanks, Curtis, for being here with me.
Yep. Go Rockers.
Go Rockers. Go Rockers.
All right, Dan, let's get to it, man. The people want to know. We got the people warmed up for you. Are you in the chat? Are you live right now, Dan? Can we hear you?
I'm live. I hear a lot of music in the background.
All right. We got a question. One of the last questions we just had was, can fans keep the footballs that go in the stands? What would you say to that?
As long as there are enough to go around, sure. Why not? Yeah, traditional arena football league, yes. I don't see, not that we've had that conversation, but yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, it's essential for our league. I know not only footballs, but T-shirts. We're going to be giving out a ton of T-shirts. What's going on with you, Dan, this week? Well, how's this week been for you?
Stressful. First of all, I see this very fancy board you have in your background. Is that when I call you, how you have all the answers ready to go?
No, that's just one of the things keeping me together right now. I got about 2 other boards in the office.
So we'll put it this way. We've had a very productive last week or so, week and a half or so. It's not without a lot of work being done, today, a lot of work being done tomorrow. I'm hopping on a flight to Glasgow, Scotland tomorrow evening. And I'll just say it's a very quick trip, a trip I've never done before, where I'm not even getting a hotel. I'm literally just getting there, popping back. Nature of the beast. Everyone's asked me if I'm going to play golf in Scotland. I'm not. It's literally just a work trip. So,
wow.
I'm meeting some people down there. But if I'm tired now, I don't know what shape I'm going to be in when I come back off the plane at JFK. But listen, it is what it is, Elijah. We made a ton of progress. So, there's a lot of things I can't disclose, but let's just say I probably have spoken to people in many time zones over the last couple of days. So I think that's fair, but we've been busy.
Definitely. What have you been picking up, this last week? What's like the temperature of the league right now?
And like, listen, we're getting good people. I'll speak candidly. Like we, when we started doing these lives, we spent a lot of time trying to identify the right people for each position. So there's a period of time where we would identify problems in particular markets and arenas. Obviously you did your big overseas trip. Like we have all of these different hubs and like companies that we have to deal with across the world. And this last week, we've started to identify, I don't want to say this past week, but we've finally identified and isolated and signed the right people in those markets. So, those problems are now being handled by people in each market. Players are being signed. Got questions about when camps are going to start. So, you solve one set of problems and it's good. You have people now in place that are trying to hold us to certain dates. Player signing, it's all good. Let's just say it's a lot of work. And in the backdrop, I'm still working full time at my firm. So I got a couple hats on, so to speak.
Wow.
It's all good.
Wow, we got a comment from Nick Durst. He says, with the grade 8s having the same colors as Boise State, it would be cool to see Smurf turf at a grade 8 games. Could we see unique turf in the IAL?
Good. Not that we have that in play for year one. It's so funny. I come on here, we talk about like all these coaches and players and GMs, and then Nick just wants to know what the color of the field would be. That's a good question, Nick. It's not something that is right now on my list, but it's on Elijah's list, and Elijah's going to make sure it gets done.
I love the idea, though. I mean, the colors in itself are pretty sick for the grade 8. So, I mean, if we can do it, if we have the ability to do it, I think that's awesome.
This is what we have been. I know Corinne's not on with us this week, but like these are great questions from the fans. I'm making sure we have coaches and players, and we have dates, we have tickets, we have venues, and then again, like once upon a time, like when I was on the other side, I was just a fan, and I think the red field at Eastern Washington is sweet. I think the Boise State turf is sweet. So this is why we have these. We have comments from the crowd, which I think are fantastic, but. The question is, can we do it? Sure, we certainly could do it. I haven't heard that it's in the works, but there's enough demand for it, I'm sure. Like to that question, I don't think Boise started with the blue field, but I think they said, how can we be different? And when once upon a time they have like a burning red field, it's sweet, but it definitely didn't start as a red field because that would have been aggressive. But at some point in time, it got moved up the chain. So yeah, we have no rule against it, put it that way.
You see all this pressure and there's all of this hype behind a team, signing one coach. What's it been like is it become just so normal for you? You're just popping through all these coaches. Like, what's that like,
I don't know. I'm trying, it's not a bad thing. Like we have a lot of different people. And I think, just on a holistic level, like what I've always said from day one, we have this new endeavor, right? We've had conversations about bringing, and this came up on last week's live, and I think it's come up before, like how many players are allowed to come from the American markets to the overseas markets. So that question's come up, and we're in the process of putting, those rules in the book to actually say like how many players can come over. So Tom and I have said internally, and we now have coaches that are giving us feedback. We want to make that the exception, not the norm, in terms of having players come from America overseas. So we're having those conversations, right? And meanwhile, like we're getting really good feedback from pockets of coaches saying we should have this as the rule, we shouldn't have it. So, since day one, I told Tom, like Tom and I speak a lot. If we have 10 coaches that don't know each other and they're all in isolation, like, and they're not friends, it's going to make our lives and their lives much harder. So we've done, I think, a really good job trying to find people in the league that are friends with each other, that have had previous experiences, like the coaches that we just signed, which we haven't announced it yet, so I won't say it, but 2 of our European coaches are on the same staff currently at their current team. So they certainly know each other really well. They've been in Europe for years, and they have suggestions from, their experiences that they want to bring to us, which, it's just interesting. So we're trying to create a rule book with very different skill sets of coaches. We have coaches that have been in Europe for many years. We have coaches that have been in arena for many years, the American arena. So, it's a work in progress, but you can imagine, right? We've just added 10, they're not executives, but like 10 really high ranking officials to a discussion about rules. So it's definitely busy, but it's exciting. So, we joked, Elijah, like last week, like all the stuff that's coming together and a lot of work being done behind the scenes. I'm excited for Thursday to make these announcements for people to basically see all the interviews and all the work we've done behind the scenes. And we're still doing them, right? We're still hiring people for various roles. Like we're not going to mention here, but we hired a high-level guy in Europe to help deal with some of these operational issues. So I won't say anything because I have very little concept of when you guys plan to make the announcements. I know way too much, and I don't want to get in trouble with confidentiality. But yeah, we're doing a ton of work behind the scenes, and it's coming together very nicely.
And what's life looking like for those coaches right now, kind of behind the scenes?
Yeah, we're trying to figure out, like, we have some guys that are in America currently but have played in Europe, played arena, and we're trying to make the decision of like when we're going to officially start up like practices and just like when they need to start we know when the contract states they're getting paid. Question is when their jobs become remote versus physically moving and uprooting to the European teams. And some of our coaches in Europe they're not from that particular market. So I'm not going to, again, we haven't announced anything, but the coach that's coaching in Zurich is not in Zurich right now. So we have to figure out when he's moving. They have families. It's a lot of like, again, I see the comments, the questions coming in. Like, these are not necessarily football issues, but there's a lot of infrastructure we have to put in place to make it work. So these coaches are asking the right questions. They're recruiting some of the same players. Your commissioners at some point going to have to resolve disputes over players about who's on which team. But I'm very confident we have the people in place to start dealing with some of these issues so they don't all fall on my plate. But for the time being, there's a lot on my plate. Definitely a lot.
We got a comment from Nick Durst, more football based. Will we copy the targeting rules that are in the NCAA?
It's fair. Every time you tell me Nick Durst, I think of one of two people. I think of Fred Durst. Are you familiar with Fred Durst, Elijah? No? You don't know Fred Durst?
No, I have no idea who Fred Durst is.
Someone in the comments will know who Fred Durst is. But
I have no idea. No.
It's okay. We'll get there at some point. It's Limp Bizkit back in the day. It's maybe a little bit before your time. Or Nick Nurse, famous basketball coach. But yeah, I see Nick in the chat. Yeah, I mean, we want our players to be safe. There's different rules, right? Like, you don't want to, just from a safety perspective, it's not be targeting the NCAA or the NFL. You want to make sure guys are playing safely. So we'll have our own version of that. We're not going to cut and paste the NCAA rules, but like, yeah, we want to make sure people are playing safe. I was watching the Monday night game last night. Sometimes injuries just happen. Like Nico Collins got hurt in that fourth quarter. There was nothing unsafe about the play. He just fell to the ground awkwardly, and you try to police it as much as you can, but football is a dangerous sport. So you try to put rules in it, but again, injuries are unfortunately going to happen. By the way, Nick knows exactly who Fred Durst is. Nick, you can tell me if you're related to Fred Durst. You might be. You might be.
What do you envision, happening for the league on Thursday? How is, the events unfolding going to move things forward?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Again, sometimes I don't know what's been put out there. Like, we did the live last week. Like, I've known that, Sean King was hired for some period of time, like weeks before that. So we just announced it here. Like, I'm excited for a lot of these names to be made public. And some of these people in their own circles have been telling people, which, it's up to them if they want to do it. But we've been putting in a lot of work, and I love the people that come onto these lives each and every week and they're looking for updates on the league. And, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to trust the process with our marketing team. Like, we won't mention his name, Elijah, but I met someone today that you introduced me to in ticketing. I've never met this individual before. There's a lot of good work being done behind the scenes, both on the coaching front, on the ticketing side, and the marketing side. And I'm excited for people to learn about those developments, put it that way. So, we've kept the league and our fans in waiting to hear what these markets are going to be. I see you guys know the team names. Sometimes you guys will know the colors, the logos, but like, the face of the franchise is, right, it's the head coach. Like, people are looking at Mike Tomlin today, who was the head coach of the Steelers for 19 years, or Harbaugh for 18 years. You could think of Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Like, you guys still haven't met the quote unquote face of the franchise that will be the head coach and the premier player. So excited to start making some of those announcements so you can start really putting like a name to the team, face to the name, something like that.
When you look at all the coaches that we've collected, what's your biggest takeaway? I know you kind of spoke on we're trying to find versatile skill sets across our league, but what would you say?
I didn't realize how many, put it this way, I didn't realize how many Americans well, actually, let me take one step back. We have Zurich, we have Nottingham, we have Glasgow. So we have 3 American-speaking markets overseas. And then we have 2 German-speaking markets. We have Stuttgart and Dusseldorf. So I'm excited to announce our coaches, but we're trying to, just like I told you before, we're trying to make it a priority to have local players in each market. And I see Joe Brown is asking that same question. Perfect. Right on cue, Elijah. We want to make, we're not immune to the fact that there are rules in other leagues for this exact purpose, like the CFL or any really European league. There's an emphasis on keeping it somewhat of a local league. So, just from a cost perspective, having unlimited amount of players, getting visas and going overseas, that's a lot of money. So we're not, we'd be remiss if we didn't say to coaches, expect to have as few Americans as possible, but all contracts remain subject to league approval. So, you asked me the question, what's my biggest takeaway? My biggest takeaway is that there are so many people overseas that have played American football at the NCAA level, arena football, that have made careers of playing American football or coaching American football overseas, which I think might shock a lot of people. And again, me, I'm very close to the sports space. I really wasn't aware of that. So when we started this process, I was a little concerned that we wouldn't find the right people. And then the opposite was true. There was an entire network of Americans overseas and abroad that were very qualified for these roles. So it actually made the process of selecting coaches much harder because there were a lot of qualified candidates. So that definitely surprised me, but it's a good problem to have.
All right, before we get out of here, one final question. I know we're going to be releasing the schedule. We're going to be unveiling the final team in our league to complete the 10. What would you say about that final missing market?
It's funny. I'm happy you told me that because I didn't necessarily know that we have not released that. But it's a good market. We have some really good people in place. So I won't give anything out. I think it's a good idea if people are kind of paying attention to the time zones in America. We have 3 teams on the West Coast. Actually, no. Well, we have Salt Lake City, we have Arizona, we have Vegas, we have Cincinnati. We don't have any teams on the East Coast. So I would say that if I'm giving you any hint, which I was not authorized to do, but I did it anyway, I would be looking at an Eastern time zone to be that final market. So trying to space it out a little bit. Time zone wise, you obviously want to alleviate as much travel as you can, but you want to make sure you hit every, major time zone to the extent you can.
Amazing. Well, we couldn't step in Kareem's shoes too much, but we tried our best. We look forward to reaching out to the fans on Thursday and get you guys some more announcements and move this league forward.
All good, Elijah. Hey, good stuff, and appreciate everybody popping on each and every week. We're working on we'll have some more announcements in the coming weeks, but looking forward to it. And I'm going to be on a plane 24 hours from now, which is fantastic. It's great. It's amazing.
Hey, have fun. Don't eat too much of the airplane food, man.
I'm going to be living in the airport. My life is going to be like terminal. It's going to be fantastic. It's awesome.
Thank you so much, man.
Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Every week. Appreciate it.